Alright guys, chapter 6, we are finally going to be talking about percentages. So unlike last year, you're not going to be using a percent button on your calculator. We're going to be using either a proportion or an equation. So in section 1, we're going to be talking about how to use the proportion. In a later section, we'll talk about how to use the equation. So we know that a proportion is when we have two ratios equal. So for our percents, our proportion is our part over our whole equals the percent over 100. We know from a previous lesson that percent is out of 100 or per 100, so your percent always goes over 100. Another way that we could think of it is our is over our of equals percent over 100. So our goal for this lesson is to be able to use that proportion in order to find all three of our pieces. So our first thing is to find the percent. So 12 is what percent of 32? We have our is, matches our 12, our of matches our 32, and we're looking for what percent, so there's our variable. So if we go to our is over of equals percent over 100, so we have 12 over 32 equals x over 100, and then we do our cross multiply. 32 times x gives us 32x equals 12 times 100 is 1,200. Divide by 32 just like we did last chapter. And we get that x equals 37.5. And we were talking about a percent, so make sure you label it percent. So 37.5%. Okay, so there was an example of using our proportion in order to find the percent. Next up, we want to find the part. So we have what number is 15.5% of 450, and there's our percent. So we see that what number, so that is our x. Again, we're going back to that is over of equals percent over 100. So just filling in what we know. Is our unknown, of is 450, equals our percent is 15.5, and that is always over 100. Again, cross multiply. X times 100 is 100x equals 450 times 15.5 is 6,975. Then we divide both sides by 100. So x equals 69.75. Okay, so there's an example of when we're trying to find our is or our part. So last up, finding our whole. 78 is 60% of what number? So again, if we go through and highlight. So our is 78. We have our percent. Then of what number? So there's our unknown. Go back to that is over of equals percent over 100. If you just keep saying that over and over and over again, that way you remember what it is. So filling in what we know our part or our is 78 over our of is our unknown. So there's our x equals 60 over 100. Notice guys, when we have our percent, we don't put the percent into the proportion, we just put the number. Okay, so cross multiply. 60 times x gives us 60x equals 78 times 100 is 7,800. Divide by the number with our variable, so divide by 60. And then 7,800 divided by 60 tells us that x equals 130. And again, no label on this one, we were just looking for a number. Okay, so we've done an example of finding our part, finding our whole, and finding our percent using our percent proportion. Hopefully you guys are able to follow all of that. If not, make sure you come to class with questions tomorrow. So we have a couple now you tries. We have one where you want to find the percent, one where you want to find the part. and one where you want to find the whole. So these are all already in your notes for you. So just go ahead and try them out. Make sure you are showing your work. All right, that's the end of lesson 1.